Welcome, everyone. Good boy, Tucker. This is learning at its most fun.
Well, welcome everybody to Building Your Tech Stack with Redtail CRM. I'm your host, Austin Johnson, subject matter expert and trainer here at Redtail Technology. Today, you've joined us for enhancing your CRM experience with PDF templates with PreciseFP and Redtail CRM. And so PreciseFP has a really cool tool to show us today. They're called PDF templates. They are fillable PDFs, such as a client fact finder that we can use for populating data into our Redtail CRM, as well as our other softwares. And so today, we're going to share some best practices on how to use those PDF templates in PreciseFP for streamlining data entry and updates across your entire tech stack. Today, I'm joined by Courtney Peak from PreciseFP. Courtney, good afternoon.
Hey, Austin. Thank you.
Awesome. Courtney, can you tell us a little bit about your role with PreciseFP?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually head up the support team here at PreciseFP. So you've probably, if you've ever gone to our website or gone to our YouTube channel, you've probably seen a lot of my content out there. As head of support, I really help with getting folks onboarded onto PreciseFP, while also working with folks in our live chat or via email. I also provide educational webinars around PreciseFP. So I've been with PreciseFP for 7 years now. Started as a customer support specialist, and as mentioned, I'm now the head of support. So yeah, it's a great and fulfilling position, and I see a lot of familiar names in the audience. So looking forward to showing about the new features of PreciseFP.
Thanks, Courtney. And just in case we have any audience members here who aren't familiar with PreciseFP, can you just tell us a little bit about what PreciseFP is and what your mission is as a company?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a data gathering platform. So our goal is to really help advisors with collecting client information by way of digital forms. And what I'm really excited to show is one of our new features where we now have PDF templates where you can really enhance really the overall kind of client experience, really have the client just kind of do data entry into one form and really have it go to multiple paths, to your CRM, to your financial planning software, also to account opening forms.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and we've mentioned it a couple of times already, but those PDF templates are definitely very exciting. Can you tell us a little bit more about how those came to be and how they're going to help the advisor's office? And then, if you will, can you even maybe provide a demo of how those work?
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of when we first started, we had just kind of one questionnaire in our system. It wasn't anything that was able to be, customized or anything like that. So it really was just kind of a very simplified data gathering form, if you will. So, with PreciseFP, as I was mentioning, we're a data gathering platform. So we help with gathering data from clients and prospects. But over the years, we've been around for 15 years now. We're going in our 15th year now. So like I said, when we first started, we just had one very simplified questionnaire, wasn't able to be customized. So we really do have a motto of, we are for advisors, built by advisors, because you folks are, as the advisors, you're in the thick of it. You're working with your clients, and us, we take the feedback that our users, which are you folks as advisors, to heart, and we make PreciseFP what it is. So we really have evolved over these past 15 years and really added, even since I started 7 years ago, we've really evolved over the years and added a lot of really important solutions to our platform to really kind of make PreciseFP sort of like this data gathering hub, if you will. The client's just kind of inputting data into one form template, but it's able to do a multitude of things. So getting to custodial forms and filling out custodial PDFs was on the horizon for quite a number of years. And we have finally made it a reality and really have expanded upon that experience. So while it's not technically completely new, it's a feature that we've definitely expanded upon and evolved to really make it an enhanced experience for you as well as for your clients. So really kind of going to be showing a few aspects of Precise FP that really kind of ties into everything. And of course, with our integration partners, like our friends at Redtail, it really makes it nice because, you know, you're and your staff are getting out of having to do any type of, you know, manual data entry. The client, you are kind of offloading the data entry a little more onto your clients. But the data that the client gives to you, and I'm going to show all of this when I switch over and do a demo here in just a little bit, it all kind of makes sense and how it all comes together. The client's just inputting on one form, but it's then able to trickle down into multiple paths, you know, to your CRM, to your financial planning software, and then also fill out these PDF templates, like, you know, an account opening or move money, what have you. So a lot of times, though, people tend to think that we are just a fact-finding solution, but as you can see here, and hopefully it's kind of the a takeaway from this presentation is, yes, you know, we do have fact finding, which kind of feeds into what we're going to be talking about today, but we have so much more, and it's all included at one low cost. So everything that is listed out here is included in the monthly cost of Precise FP. And like I mentioned before, when we first started, we only had the one questionnaire available, and it wasn't even able to be customized. So with our evolution over the years, again, with help from advisors like some of you on the call today, really allowed us to make Precise FP what it is today, and really make that experience for your clients as well as you and your business much more efficient by having all of these important pieces happening in one platform. When advisors come to us, you know, they're usually gathering data through other means like, you know, a fillable PDF or a Word document or even a spreadsheet. And it's just not an efficient process. And then it requires the advisor or staff to manually input that data into their financial planning software and CRM and account opening apps. And, you know, not to mention the client's part is incredibly time consuming. So data collection and data entry represent 40% of the cost of creating a financial plan. 40%, that's a huge percentage. So using Precise FP, this is going to significantly eliminate that cost by removing the burden of data gathering from you as advisors. So your clients, they're going to be engaged, especially if the experience is tailored to their needs. You know, think of when it comes to high net worth clients who, you know, more than likely do not want to fill out a generic questionnaire. So with Precise FP, you're going to be able to create a guided experience by tailor making the data gathering experience while also doing things like reducing NIGO, not in good order, by adding validated and required fields. And with our new, you know, custodial PDFs, you can really slim down the data input needed by the client, since the data from one singular fact finder form template, for example, can then export, as I mentioned, over to Redtail, and then can also fill out an account opening form, et cetera, really making the overall onboarding process a breeze. So I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to Precise FP now, just to kind of walk through this process so you can kind of visualize, you know, what this looks like from not only your point of view, but also from the client's point of view. So we're going to take a look at, I always like to start with the library. I think it's important to show you what Precise FP has to offer the moment that you do get signed up with us. So you'll notice now that we have both form templates and PDF templates. So your form templates are going to be what is sent to the client for them to input data on. Think like your fact finders, your surveys, your risk tolerance, things like that. So something that you're going to engage the client with for them to give you data. So you can see here as I click on the form library, kind of get an idea of the different forms that you can engage your client with. So various fact finders, like I was mentioning, surveys and polls, etc. Now, when we get to PDFs, these are what are really kind of Precise FP's version of a fillable PDF. So think, your custodial forms, things like that, account opening forms, etc. So these are forms that can actually pre-fill out with data that you already have on file for your client. Maybe that data was gathered via a fact finder. Maybe that data was imported in from Redtail. These are the forms that we have in our PDF library. So we do have partnerships with Schwab. We do have also with SSG and Pershing, as well as TD Ameritrade. Now, the other benefit is that you do have the ability to come out here and upload your own PDFs. So if you have maybe a service agreement or a contract, or even a custodial form that we don't have in the library that you want to use, you can come out here and you can upload your own PDFs and map those to a form so that when the client fills out the form, it's filling out that underlying PDF. So let's go ahead and just kind of walk through the process now. Another thing that I'd like to also show is the Redtail integration. So with the Redtail integration, you actually only have to come out here into Precise FP and enable that integration. You don't have to turn anything on at Redtail. So the integration is all done and managed here at Precise FP. So we've got this integrations page. You'll click on Redtail. As you can see, I already have it enabled on my account, but it would show disabled like this. You would just click on it, enter your Redtail credentials, and that really is it. That's all you have to do. Now, something else to point out here is that the integration isn't automatic. So what I mean by that is it doesn't automatically start feeding in information from Redtail into Precise FP and vice versa. That is by design. We wanted you as the user to be in control of the data that you want to come into Precise FP and go out of Precise FP, which means if you want to bring in data from Redtail, which you can do once you get that integration enabled, you do have to come out here and go to import and Redtail, search for your client, and then it brings that client into Precise FP. Same thing if you have a client or a prospect in Precise FP and now you want to get them over to Redtail, you again are in control. So you'll click on export, choose Redtail, and push that over. And we've got help articles and videos to show you how you can go back and forth and use the integration. Now, another thing that we have that I'm going to focus on today is our Redtail Fact Finder. This is a fantastic template that you can use with the integration. And what I mean by that is, and let me just do a quick preview of it, just so you folks can, again, kind of visualize it. But this form is optimized for the Redtail integration. So what we mean by that is all of these fields are already mapped to Redtail. That means when you go to engage a client with this form, and they submit it back to you and you click on export, all this data is already mapped to the corresponding fields in Redtail for you. So when I say you literally can come out here and start using Precise FP today with clients and prospects, I really do mean that. But, there's a lot that can be done. I'm not going to be able to get into it too much today. Just kind of going back to what I was expressing earlier about, you can really come out here and create a guided, tailor-made data gathering experience, even on an individual client level. Like, for example, you could remove individual fields, you could remove entire sections, you could remove entire pages from this form, really condense it down. Everybody has a different scenarios than the next client of yours. So not everybody has the same, setup. And that's where Precise FP comes in and really allows you to stand out when it comes to this whole data gathering aspect. So even though you may do things like that, coming out here and cutting out sections or fields, it's not going to impact the integration negatively in any way, shape, or form. The fields that remain on this form will still be able to export on over. And you could even, and I have a lot of advisors do this, I see them, combine forms. Maybe they want to add like our risk tolerance questionnaire to this and make it kind of one huge robust form. Now that risk tolerance doesn't go over to Redtail, but you have all this other stuff that does, and now you've also got another form added into it. The client doesn't know that was previously two forms. So really the sky is the limit when it comes to customizing. And you could do something as simple to branding it. I've got a little image out here so you can envision your logo here and change out the text. And I've even seen advisors lay down like videos, which you can do. You could embed a video out here, a nice little explainer video about, your firm or even the form itself. So there's a lot that can be done. You can change colors, all of that. Again, I'm not going to get too in depth with the editor, but there's a lot that can be done with the forms just to kind of give you an idea and a sense of what can be done. So now let's kind of go through the process. Let's go kind of step by step. I'm going to engage my client with this form so that they can give me data. And then I'm going to show you how we can export that over to Redtail. And then I'm going to also show you how we can go out and, maybe fill out like a TD form or a Schwab form. Now, another form that I wanted to just kind of mention, because we're talking about kind of the PDF templates and things like that, is this custodial onboarding template. This is another very popular template that I have a lot of my advisors using. And this is really great. And this is fully customizable to folks. So you can come out here and anything that you see out here, you can change up, even add more to this if you want. Even combine it into the Redtail fact finder if you wanted to. But this is great because it sends it over to your client, and we get to this page here and we start asking them, what type of accounts do you want to open? Do you want to open up a taxable investment account? Great. Who's it for? And is it individual or is it joint? And as you can see, this form is what we call dynamic. So based on their answers, you'll see different questions pop up. So that's something that you can also, again, I can't get into the editor too much, but just kind of visualizing this, you can really see the power of the editor. You can really come out here and do things like that on your form too. They select a retirement account. Now we've got the retirement account section open. Just little things like that. We've got fields mandatory. There's validation to these fields. So for example, let me show you, let me go back here. Here we go. If they miss a field, it tells them, they've got to go out there and fill it out. As you can kind of see here, it lights up for them. There's validation to the fields too. So for example, the email field, if they entered in Courtney.com, it would actually reject that data. It wouldn't allow them to move forward until they entered in proper data. So again, that goes back to, the fact of these forms can really reduce NIGO, not in good order, and, reduce the risk of bad data and, wrong data and things like that. So, with the validation, it's nice because, in the phone field, if they try to enter in like alpha characters, that would reject that too. So little things like that to ensure that you're getting in proper, good, valid data, because this is eventually going to go over to your CRM, potentially your financial planning software, and also pre-fill in custodial forms. So we want to make sure that the client is entering in good, valid, proper information at this data gathering level here. But this is nice because, again, it asks the client, what type of accounts that they want to open. And that way, after they fill this out, you know what forms to prepare for them. So just wanted to kind of touch on this real quickly to show you this is another really great form that, again, if you wanted to maybe combine with the Red Tail Fact Finder, you could certainly do that. Well, let's go ahead and just kind of quickly show you how you can go out here and engage a client with a form. So I have installed that Red Tail Fact Finder from the library here. Once I do that, that does make it an available form for me to send out to my clients or prospects. Now, what I can do now is I can go to basically, we call accounts, clients in PreciseFP accounts. Other applications may refer to them as like households or records, things like that. So our terminology is accounts, but I locate my account that I want to send the form to, and I click on this engage button, and I'm going to choose with a form. So it recently updated. There's that Red Tail Fact Finder. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I am just going to go ahead and actually review it as if I am the client, just so you can kind of see what it looks like from the client's point of view. One thing that I do want to mention, I did see a few familiar names out there, so I do believe there's some current PreciseFP users on the line. I wanted to just kind of bring to your attention another new feature here is our authentication method. We used to only have password protection for the high security level forms. That is still an option, but there is now also the ability to select email authentication or SMS authentication if there is a mobile number on file. So that does away with, if you don't want the client to set up a password on a high security level form, well, you can choose to have email authentication or SMS authentication. So that is also a new feature there. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to do a preview and review of this as if I'm the advisor and maybe want to go in and edit some things on this beforehand. But this actually allows you to kind of come out here and visualize what this form can look like as if it was the client opening this up and going through here and seeing this form already pre-populated with data. So maybe beforehand, this is an existing client of mine that I have in my CRM. So what I can do is I can import them in from Redtail into PreciseFP. And then what happens is when this presents to the client, they are already looking at a pre-populated form, which they appreciate. They don't have to start from scratch. And this is a great way to kind of do an annual review with the client too, which we have a lot of advisors do. They use PreciseFP as this sort of continuous engagement piece. A great example is review time. So you can import in from Redtail or from eMoney, and it could, or both, and it brings in their most recent snapshot of data into PreciseFP. And then when you go to engage them with the form, they're already seeing it pre-filled out, making less work for them. But they can go through here and they can make changes to this data, and it auto saves for them as they go along and fill out information. So they don't have to worry about continuously hitting a save button. It's tablet and mobile friendly for them. If you have any fields marked as mandatory, it wouldn't allow them to complete the form and things like that. But this is again, a great way for you to visualize what this form looks like on the client side. And this is just the fact finder as is. I didn't make any edits to it. So you can go out here and of course you can make edits to this, change it up however you may want or need. Now, what happens is as the client goes through here, again, it auto saves, but when they get to the end, what happens is you would get an email alert letting you know that the client is done. So now how do you review that information? What happens once the client is done with the form? Well, what happens is that data from that fact finder comes into what we call the profile for the client. So this would really be where you as the advisor now kind of switching the point of view to your point of view in the system. This would be where you could come out here and really go section by section, line by line, review the information that the client gave to you. And if there was new information or maybe modified information, we highlight that for you in the profile. And we say, this is the section that had, updates. And then we put a highlight over the field to let you know exactly where the change was made as well. So now that review process for you much less time consuming. You can see exactly what changes the client did, if any, and then you can export it back on over to Redtail, and you can export it over to Money Guide or to eMoney. And what happens is, because it's linked to an already existing record over in your CRM or your financial planning software or both, it just updates the data that the client may have updated. So for example, if the client changed their mobile number on the form, that reflects as a change in Precise FP. Now, when you export it over to Redtail, that new mobile number is now going to appear in the mobile number spot on their record in Redtail. So that's how the integration works. Again, we've got a pre-designated set of fields that do map, and those fields are all mapped on that form for you. And we do have in our knowledge base, you can actually go out here and click on the question mark, do a search for Redtail. We've got, you'll find all of the relevant help articles about the integration. This is a great one right here, this mapping table, and we have this for each one of our integration partners, but this will show you what fields map over by default. So these fields are all found on that fact finder. So this is just a different way that you can view the fields that actually do map over to Redtail. And what you can also do is you can actually add to the mapper. So if you do, and this is just a company admin feature. So if you are a company admin user, you would have the ability to go out there and actually, like if you've got custom user defined fields over in Redtail, well, what you can do is you can actually come out here and you can build those same fields here in Precise FP. Like I did this on a previous demo. I built a favorite color field in Precise FP and I created it over in Redtail. And then all you have to do is go into the integrations and click on the open button for the mapper. And then you're able to connect the two. So you connect to that user defined field from Redtail, and then you connect it to that now custom field in Precise FP. And then what you can do is you can lay that field down on a form. And that way, when that goes to the client and the client puts data into that field, it will now export over to that mapped field that you've done to that user defined field in Redtail. So there is a lot that you can do, folks. You can see here that I have a favorite beverage field over as a user defined field in Redtail. That's not a default field that maps. I created that myself. So I did actually also create a favorite beverage field in Precise FP, and I mapped the two. So now what I can do, and I will show you real quickly here, I will kind of open up the editor a little bit, but what I can do is in this default Redtail form, I can actually come out here and import from that data set the, let me see, it may not show up here. Yeah, sorry, I don't have it out here, but what it would do is I would basically just lay down that custom field that I made from the data set into Precise FP, into the template. And then when I send this form out to the client, they would see that field and it would map over to Redtail. So there's an unlimited option to go out here and lay down, you know, as many custom fields as you want. And then again, if you want those to be part of the mapper, we do have in the, let me go back and show you here. This video right here, this Redtail mapper, is a video that I did to show you how to do those steps, how to create the new field, how to create that connection to that field in Redtail, how to add it to your template, and how it all goes over for you. So that's something I've seen a lot of advisors create some really cool like surveys, for example, like asking what the client's favorite beverage is, maybe asking them when like an anniversary is or something like that. And now they've got that information in their CRM. So when those special dates come up or, you know, the client's coming in office, you know what their favorite beverage is, and you can have that ready to go when the client comes in office. So just a little help tip there. So that's something that you can certainly do, is add to the mapper if you want to. So now, how do we get this data that we have that the client filled out on this fact finder? how does that now go into the PDF templates? Well, same thing with the form templates. If there's a PDF template or templates that you are going to use, all you have to do is basically click on the template here under the PDF library. Same thing, just click on install template. And then it becomes a PDF that you can prepare for your client or prospect. So again, these are the current custodians that we do have partnerships with at the moment. I will say that we are looking to expand upon that. That's as far as I can release with information at this point in time. But definitely in 2022, we're looking to add to this, including the forms that we have out here too. So now let's go back to my client account, that client that we were just working with that just filled out that fact finder. So we've got all of that information. Maybe they even filled out that custodial onboarding page, lets us know what type of accounts that they want to open. So now what we can do is we can go to the client account, click on engage, but now we're going to choose with a PDF. Now, this is something, again, as I was mentioning earlier, this PDF template isn't terribly new. It has been reworked in our 6.0 version of Precise FP. Previously, you could only engage with one at a time. Now you can engage up to 5 at a time. So if you do need to do more than 5, you would just have to create another package. So let's say I'm going to do maybe, a Schwab one account application. So I'm going to choose that. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pre-fill this engagement. In this field here, I'm going to choose who the account owner is. So it pulls information that is already on file from the client. So it pulls all persons that are on this client's account. So I'm going to choose Emily as the primary. I can also choose who the trusted contact is. If there's going to be, a secondary account owner, a successor custodian, I can go ahead and select each one of these with the persons that are already on file for this account. I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. Now with custodians Schwab and TD, they do require DocuSign for e-signature. SSG and Pershing have approved our e-signature. So if you use those, Precise FP's e-signature would be an option for you out here. Now, something with Schwab, if you do have your own DocuSign account, they do require you to get approval to use that. There is, in going back to our knowledge base here, if you do a search for Schwab, you're going to look for this help article here using DocuSign with Schwab PDF templates. There is an email here that you can send an email to get your DocuSign account approved for use in this manner. With TD, I know they provide you with credentials, so you can enable the DocuSign integration in Precise FP. You don't have to take any further steps. I already have mine approved, so I do have the option to select DocuSign out here. So now what I'm doing is I'm basically choosing who the signers for this account application are going to be. So since I do have just one account owner, there isn't a secondary account owner, and there's no other signatures, but I just wanted to kind of quickly show you here that you can choose, this is her spouse, these are her children, Tessa and James. I can choose myself as the advisor to be a signature if need be, and I can also add a custom signer. So when you select a custom signer, you would just need their first name, last name, email address, and their mobile number for authentication purposes. But today, just for the example, I just want to keep this simplified just so you can kind of see this process here. I am going to click on continue, and what this does is it takes you into edit mode for this PDF. So this will again, allow you to kind of visualize what this form is going to look like. So it is going to be a PDF of the Schwab One account application form. And it is going to show you that there is some information that pre-fills out here. So again, we chose Emily as the primary account holder. I've got a lot of this information already on file. And as you can see, it's pre-filling in here. Now, not all of this is, on file in Precise FP. So as the advisor, you would have to kind of come out here and, fill out the rest of the information. But here we are now for the trusted contact. We chose her spouse. Brandon, his information is now pre-populating out here. So what will happen is basically once you're done here in edit mode, and it auto saves for you too, as you're going along here and you're filling this out. If there is anything else that you do need to fill out here, it would. This will show you signature lines are, the blue fields are input fields where you can input data, or they can be pre-filled out if they are. The yellow just kind of show you where possible signatures are. And then you can click on finish. Now, if it does, if you do miss any mandatory fields, it pops up here. There are missing or invalid fields. Are you sure you wish to continue? Well, no. And then it redirects you back to the fields that you may have missed out here. So you can go through and fix those. I'm just going to push forward on this just so you can kind of see the process here. This one, if you had a court order document, this would be where you can upload it. But once you're done here filling out this form, you would click on the X in the upper right-hand corner. You can click on this to see who the signers are. If you have, more than one signer, you can choose a routing order. You can customize the email messages that go out with the package. But once you're done, you would just click on this send documentation for e-signature button. Once you click on that, you can't make any further edits to it. So if you do need to maybe, take a break and come back and finish it, just close out there. And when you're ready to pick back up, just come out here under engagements, all engagements, and click on your engagement package, and then click on edit documents. And it takes you back into edit mode. And again, anything that you did there previously is auto saved. So, which is nice. So you don't have to keep refilling it out. So it's just like the form templates work for the clients, those auto save for the clients, the PDF forms will auto save for you too. So as you can see, everything that I did is still there. But again, once you're ready to go and get this out for signature, what it will do is with the DocuSign integration, it will send that completed PDF or PDFs. Oops, I don't have my DocuSign integration enabled, but what it does is it will basically create an envelope and it sends that over to DocuSign, and then it forwards that over to the client, and the client would electronically sign all that paperwork. And then with Schwab, if you get your DocuSign account approved, it would auto forward that to Schwab for you. And same thing with TD. If you go out there and you create a package here in Precise FP, use DocuSign. Same thing, it creates a package in DocuSign, sends it over to the client for signature. They sign that, and then it would auto forward that form or forms to TD for you automatically. So again, the process is the client on their side, they're just filling out one form. So the client only touched one form, and that form can look and feel however you want. But as you can see, I'm able to do a multitude of things with that data. Now, the PDFs don't go to the client for them to input data on. The PDFs just go to the client for them to sign. If you need the client to input data, that's going to be a form. And you can take that data from the form and you can map it to a PDF. So that allows you a lot of freedom to go out here and especially if you've got specific firm PDFs or broker dealer PDFs, the custodian ones are a great example because those have to look and feel a certain way, right? They've got the barcodes and the logos and the language on them. Those can't be altered, right? Whereas something like a fact finder and even a service agreement, that's something that technically could be customized. And that is something that you're going to need the client to input data on. So that's going to be a form template. But the beauty and the magic of it is that you can map fields from the form template to a PDF, which is essentially what we've done with these PDFs, these custodial PDFs that we have in the library, which is the magic of seeing that data that the client gave you on a fact finder and then having it pre-fill into a custodial form. You can do that. So if you have a PDF that you're using and you want to use that, you can actually upload it into PreciseFP and do the mapping. I'm not going to say it's going to be, instant. There is going to be some work involved with that. It may take an hour or so to upload the form and do the mapping. But once you have that done, you're going to have it work just like these custodial forms work. So that is something that is definitely powerful when you kind of sit back and you think about it in a bigger picture, having the client be able to only input data onto one form, but then it's, they're able, on your end, you're able to do a multitude of things with that data, send it over to Redtail, send it over to your financial planning software. And then some of that data can also come down and pre-fill into custodial forms or any other forms that you may upload as well. So there's a lot that can be done with PreciseFP. This process that we're talking about here, this onboarding process, is definitely a huge solution that we have a lot of advisors using us for. But if you remember that other slide that I was showing, there's so much that PreciseFP has to offer that's included. So this is just, again, scratching the surface. We've got a risk tolerance and IPS solution that's included in the cost. We've got some advisors who use us as a lead gen tool. So they'll create a very simplified form and put that on like their websites or social media sites to really kind of be like this, simple kind of getting their foot in the door with you. And then we've got, automation built into PreciseFP too. So if you want to have these forms kind of going out automatically, even the PDFs going out automatically, that's something that can be done in PreciseFP as well. So again, there's a lot that can be done. This is all included in the cost of PreciseFP. Unlimited customizations, unlimited templates, form and PDF templates are all included in the cost. So it really just kind of, again, makes it so that you just have this, this one platform that is really this whole kind of data gathering hub, if you will. So I wanted to just quickly say before I switch it on over to Austin so we can open up for questions. If you are interested in trying out PreciseFP, we do offer a free trial period. It is typically 7 days, but for Redtail users, we actually extend that to 30 days. And that offer never expires, folks. So if you're watching this webinar later on and you want to sign up, all you have to do is just come out to our website, precisefp.com. There's a get started button. You just click on that and it starts you with a 7-day trial. But all you have to do is when you get fully activated, you'll just go in and send us a chat message letting us know that you're signed up, and either myself or my staff, we will actually go and we'll extend the trial to 30 days for you. That gives you, the time to go out there and fully test it and all of that. And nothing is disabled in the trial period. So you can go out there and, test out the PDFs, create a form. And if you do decide at the end of that 30 days that it's going to be a good fit, then it would actually, everything that you've done stays there. So you don't lose anything. And there's no contract involved either. It is just a monthly subscription. It starts at $69 per month. That's for one user. Additional users, you can add them in for an extra $34 per month. And then we would also, help with onboarding you onto the platform too. So my staff keeps in touch with you throughout your trial period, getting on one-on-one sessions to help you along the way. But there's a lot of resources out there too. So
thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.